Hello and welcome to another episode here on my channel. My name is ChaosMole and today I want to talk about another new big addition to World of Warcraft Dragonflight. Well, it's not really a big addition, it's basically the return of the talent trees. You might remember the old talent trees, if not, you can see them right here in the background. This is what we got with the start of World of Warcraft, and which we did keep up till Wrath of the Lich King, and then with Cataclysm we got the new talent trees, but we will talk about that in a minute. So what you can see here are like three distinct trees for the Warlock: Affliction, Demonology, Destruction, right? Affliction was more for dot build, Demonology was more for pet build, and then Destruction was more the direct shadow fire build. And yeah, there were a lot of problems with it, and a lot of people just followed the cookie cutter builds, and it always felt like you don't really have a choice. In the end, everyone is using the skills which will give them the most versatility and the most damage, because, well, that's how World of Warcraft was designed, especially after Classic or Vanilla at that point, where they said, okay, well, everyone is using a damage meter, everyone is using cookie cutter builds, then we will also design the boss fights in a way that they're basically min-maxed, and this was basically the beginning of the end, where you definitely couldn't just follow your choice and you had to use the cookie cutter builds because you had to get the maximum of DPS, and more choices just disappeared. And they also felt like as if everyone is just using the same talents in the end, and it wouldn't make much sense to keep those talent trees up. And so they said, okay, with Cataclysm, we completely want to revamp the system, and we want to go over to this. This was the talent system, which wasn't really talents necessarily. You also got like a lot of skills depending on your specialization on your character, and they said that this would give us more variety, more choices, meaningful choices, and this is just better for us players. But I always said from the beginning that I don't like those talents, because it's not really true what Blizzard says here. I always believed that they actually put those new talents in because it's easier to balance. Like when you were going back to the old system, you can see that there are a lot of talents here which were sometimes a little bit tough to balance. And I think there was a point, I don't know if that was really true or if that changed, but I think Blizzard said at some point that they basically have one guy or like two guys or so just doing like all the classes, and that wasn't really feasible anymore as well. So they wanted to go with an easier system, which became this system. And I always felt like, you know what, the system is not really giving you choices at all. Like, you still use cookie cutter builds, you have to, and it doesn't feel meaningful anymore. With the old system, yes, Blizzard was absolutely right when they said, hey, you are just following cookie cutter builds here. You don't really make a choice. Yeah, they were right. But that doesn't matter, because the old system gave you the feeling as if you made a choice. And even if you didn't, there was always this, I got a level up, let's open up my talent tree and let's put in a point in another talent. So it felt like you have achieved something and you always work to something. With the new talent system, you had to wait 10, 15 levels or something to actually get one point you can set. And then again, it wasn't meaningful because everyone was following the cookie cutter builds anyways. So it felt even less impactful and meaningful than it did with the old system. But the good news is, this is the new one. Or, well, this is how it's supposed to look like, right? This is work in progress, so please keep that in mind. But the new system, you can have multiple like loadouts. You can reset still your talents at any time, which is completely fine. Then you have like PvP builds and all that, so that still exists. But I really love this. This reminds me a lot of recent action RPGs. Like one in particular is Last Epoch. if you have ever played that, you have a similar system here where you have your standard talent tree for your standard class, like the warrior, and then later on you would specialize your class, and that would also get a specialized talent tree. And that's what they're exactly doing here. So you can see here on the left side that this is the standardized druid tree. So every druid can put points in here, and everyone has access to those talents. But then later on, when you are specializing your class, you are also unlocking a specialized druid tree you only can use when you have that specialization. In this case, it is restoration, right? And yeah, to make it very, very clear, right? Does that mean you have a lot of choices? We will see. Probably not. And a lot of people will follow the cookie cutter builds again. But at least when you are opening this up first, you get this feeling of, wow, I have to work towards something. And every time I'm now getting a level up, I can do something with it. Like, one of the things they always complained about was that, hey, look, we don't really like the idea that you were putting 1 point into a talent and then you are getting 2% more damage. That feels not meaningful. That doesn't really do any much, because it's like, ooh, 2% more damage, ooh, right? But it's still something. It still makes you feel like I invested in something and now I'm feeling stronger. Was that an illusion? Was that not true? Yeah, it wasn't. No. Like, I think there were actually some maths that if you wouldn't skill like some of the skills at all, just to move on to the next section, sometimes you wouldn't even notice a damage difference. Like, again, I'm not saying that this old system was really meaningful, that it was good, but at least it felt like something you work towards to, and it felt like something you want to achieve. This system felt always like, oh, I unlocked something. Yay, click. Okay, let's move on. And now you are at least like getting something to do. Like, we can see it here with the druid points, that we have like restoration, we have the moonkin build, or you want to go like melee DPS or tank, depending on what you want to do in a druid form. So in itself, this already gives you a lot of option, and it will be very interesting to see how those talents are actually working together, right? Because let's say you're a restoration druid, how does this connect to like the bear form or something like that, right? Like, why would you want to connect those things? And it seems like there are some interesting choices to be made, as you can see here. And the same goes for the restoration. It also seems like you can switch out some things. Like, it really, really seems like that, at least at the beginning of your journey, there will be a lot of interesting builds. Will it be possible that we are getting actually build variety for a class? Like, let's say a restoration druid. Can it be that we will have 3 different restoration druids which will focus on 3 different things in their talent trees, and that they will be as efficient as the other skills and talents, right? So, do we get that? Probably not. Like, as much as I hate to admit that, but Blizzard was always a bit meh when it comes to balance, talents, and abilities and skill variety. Like, again, I've been always not very great with that. Maybe that changes now with the new expansion, but I'm cautious about that. But the reality is, it finally gives you the feeling again, and it gives you the feeling of, I'm working towards something, I'm actually doing something meaningful here, and at least I have the feeling of having a choice. So, TLDR, I'm really happy that this is coming back. I really am. even if it's just the illusion of choice in the end. I like this system already so much more than this. Let's be honest about that. With that said, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then I would appreciate if you leave a like on your way out. If you're new to the channel, you want to see more daily gaming news, reaction videos to new game announcements, sometimes talking about some specific and certain games, doing tips and tricks for new games coming out, also doing a little bit more Warhammer 40k on my channel, then I would appreciate if you might consider to subscribe. It would help me out a great deal. And also, if you ever want to catch me live, you can do so from Monday to Friday, starting at 9 AM ET, which is 2 PM UK time, and 3 PM Central European time on trovo.live/ChaosMole. With that said, thank you so much for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.